Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeanne Gallagher, and this is Discover Rising Tides, how the outside makes the inside better. And we're glad to have you here. And we're talking with Denise. And Denise, to this month's conversation is,
Today, I don't know about this month, but we could do this all
or
month.
today, yeah, sure.
Whatever, we'll figure that out. Today, we are going to talk about the great
Ooh,
stretching, and how this is not something that you should just think about doing. It's something that you should be doing every single day.
mm,
And it's, you have a yoga practice, right? So, and this is
mhm,
something that, you have been doing for many years. For some people, that's too much, and that's fine. But
mhm.
what I want to people to understand is just a few minutes of stretching every day and several times a day. It could be 2 minutes here and 2 minutes there, but appropriate stretching can actually change your life. I mean, literally make you feel better, give you more energy, help you sleep. And
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this was I have a client named Lisa. I'll call her Lisa. It's not really her name. But I was on a call with her, maybe it was our first call, and it was about a month ago. And while I was on the phone with her or on the Zoom call with her, she was kind of sitting around, she seemed very restless and very uncomfortable, visibly uncomfortable while we were chatting. So I asked her about it. And she's like, oh, my neck hurts, my shoulders, my back. If I sit too long, I get sciatica. Well, this is a lady who's about the same age as I am at 53. Um, Works corporate America, busy schedule, all of that, not never has enough time, right? We're
Mhm.
all guilty of that. Um, the first thing I said to her, I said, well, usually you know this about me. When I start working with people, we do eat real food, make good decisions, be accountable. She really needed to be comfortable first,
Mhm.
because focusing on food when she was uncomfortable and had no energy really didn't make sense. So what I did was I gave her just a couple, a short tailored stretching routine. Um, just to do it, I had her do it in the morning because she said that was when she first got out of bed, while she's waiting for her coffee. That would be, the few minutes of peace and quiet that she would have. And she did this for about a month, between calls. So I talked to her, and then I talked to her for a few minutes, maybe 2 weeks later, and then our full call, 4 weeks later. And visibly, she was different. She sat taller. She was much more free. You can just tell, like, just the way her body movements were. And so I asked her, and she said she feels better. Her body moves, like, it feels like she hasn't moved this well, since she was a
Mhm.
teenager. And she said the thing that was the most amazing to her was the fact that she all of a sudden was sleeping through the night. She
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
realize that she was so uncomfortable that she was waking up several times in the night. And this was just the change was just by doing some simple stretches every day.
Mm.
So when you tell me about your yoga practice, you do your yoga practice in the morning, yes?
I do because it fits into my schedule. And if I schedule myself I go to a class, I don't practice by myself. I, I should be able to practice by myself, but I know that my stick to itiveness and what I'm going to get out of it is better in a community. So I do that. And I go in the morning. It fits better with my calendar. It's not necessarily because it feels better in my body. It honestly, it plays less head games because if I schedule it in the afternoon and then I have I have a client that I need to talk with, it's that whole head case of now I can't go. So I actually have started to block off my calendar so the yoga practice doesn't affect my work calendar because I go at 6 o'clock in the morning. So from 6 to 7:30, I'm in a yoga class, and then I actually go to a CrossFit class 4 days a week from 8:30 to 9:30. So I block my calendar off. I don't start my day till 10. And it took me my morning is when I am the most productive for anything. And so it was really very different. Afternoon is I'm really good at snoozing or, goofing off or procrastinating or whatever those things are. And so it was really challenging for me to be mentally okay with blocking the time off. And once I started to block the time off, that made a huge difference. I was giving myself permission to take care of myself.
Yes.
So
And I think you just coined a new phrase, stick to it.
stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness. I like it.
Yes.
Okay. And so
5
that does make
syllables.
sense. There are a lot of people that are like that. My husband Mark is like that. He is so productive in the morning. He gets up, he has his coffee, and by 9 o'clock, he's done more work than most people will do all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so when, he and I talk about stretching, and we're both runners, so this is something that we talk about quite
Yeah.
often.
You need to double stretch.
Yes, and we'll talk about that. So for most people, I think when they talk about stretching, they're like, oh, I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. But a morning stretching routine, and a morning stretching routine could be like 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Simple things to kind of wake up your body, your mind, and just kind of move much more freely. Cat cows, side bends. Here's one. I took a yoga class when we were in India a bunch of years ago. And the first exercise we did, other than breathing, was ready, everyone? This is your first thing you do, the first stretch you do in the morning. Come on, we all have time to do that, right? We could do that several times a day. We could do that while we're sitting at a red light.
And for those of you that are listening and not watching, all she's doing is turning her chin to her one shoulder, back to center, and to the other shoulder. It is really important. Yeah, it is really, the movement is everything. We expect to be able to, and this is where you come to a point in your life when you realize you have to do the work and able to do the things. And if you can't, and if you don't do the work before, you're not going to be able to do the things. And those things can be defined as walking upstairs or hiking 20 miles. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as there's some movement, right? But you have to do the pre-work as part of your regular routine.
Right. As part of life. I mean, you see your cat, the dog, they get up, first thing they do is they stretch.
Stretch.
That's where the cat-cow stretch comes from. So what does it do? What are the benefits other than obviously feeling good and feeling more movement? It actually boosts circulation. Circulation. Sorry, I put an extra syllable in there. And increases energy. And then when you take that few minutes to stretch, you're actually much more alert. You're waking your body up in a very gentle way, right? And rather than kind of just jumping out at something like there's so many people that I know, they're like, I'm just going to start running. And they just start running. I'm like, I've got a little gentle, prep work before that. But another reason why I think this is so important in the morning is it actually, stretching promotes clarity and focus. Calm. It's a grounded way to start your day. How many times do we jump out of bed and just like start the day, and all of a sudden by 9:30 when we have Caffeinated Connections meeting on a Tuesday, are we absolutely crazy because our morning routine was a little off today? That was
you didn't stretch this morning, eh?
I did not stretch this morning. I have stretched. But I honestly, it took me taking myself out of my morning routine this morning, totally messed me up. And it's 5 minutes. I call it Denise yoga. It's a combination of, different exercises that I've seen, some that I learned when I was in India that day. That week, I wasn't in India for a day. Things that I've seen, trainers that I've worked with. And truly, it's just a matter of those 5 minutes can absolutely determine how my day is. So benefits of starting in the morning, just those few morning stretches. Again, activate your muscles and joints, start the day in a positive way, right? Other types of stretching, I'm going to talk about two others. Dynamic stretching. And this is, if you've ever been to a race or a walk or something like that, marathon, 5K, and you see people kind of bouncing up and down or kind of just doing like what they call it, a tin soldier kind of stretch, where you're literally just kind of swinging your legs and moving your body, moving your hips. So it's not a static stretch. It's actually stretching while you're moving. And you can actually feel when you start doing these these active stretching. For those of you who are not watching, I'm actually moving my arms back and forth. I don't know why. But dynamic stretching benefits. Active movements takes your muscle, you're working your muscles and your joints at the same time to their full range of motion. Now, when you start, full range of motion may not be where you want it, but you can't go from zero range of motion to full range of motion very quickly, unless you're 10 years old. We're a lot more pliable then, but as we get older, we're not as pliable. So being able to take your muscles and joints through a full range of motion will actually help you when you start whatever that action is. Again, whether it's walking, running, hiking, walking up the stairs, carrying, your groceries, or pushing your grandkids, whatever it may be. It prepares your body for whatever that activity is, but most importantly, reduces your risk of injury. How many people do you know get injured if they had started stretching, just done a little stretching before they started whatever the workout or the workout side was, right? And simple things, leg swings, arm circles, hip rotations. Hip rotations our hips are so neglected. Just doing simple hip rotations, you'll be amazed at all of the muscles that you're going, oh, no, I have those muscles there. It's amazing how many muscles we have that go into simple movements. But if we don't move that way, the muscles kind of get stiff.
Atrophied.
Atrophied. Thank you.
Atrophied.
Right. And again, what are we doing? Increasing blood flow, increasing flexibility. And if it's for athletic performance, you're enhancing your performance. I know this for a fact as a runner. When I start jogging, I don't just start running I can't just start running a 9-minute mile. That first half a mile is pretty slow. But before I've even done that, I've done some dynamic stretching just to kind of get my body and my mind ready for the activity. And then, of course, I always talk about like the static stretching, or we all talk about static stretching, and that's what we think that we're supposed to be doing all the time. Static stretching is for relaxation and, yes, flexibility too. But the importance of static stretching is after activity. And again, that activity could be athletic performance. It could be working in the yard, whatever it may be. One of the things I remember most when I first moved to Minnesota was one day we got a lot of snow and I couldn't get outside my back door. And so I got the shovel. Not that I've shoveled snow a lot in my life, but I shoveled snow that day. And I did not stretch beforehand, which was okay. Not the best. You know what was worse? Not stretching after it.
Afterwards.
That's when my muscles got so sore and so tight. So by stretching afterwards, you get you are getting rid of the soreness before it happens. You're not going to be as stiff, and you're going to recover faster.
Moving around that lactic acid so it's not stuck makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is really important, we talk about stretching, and this is great for all sorts of things. I think we forget, most importantly, stretching improves our posture, reduces tension, of course, but it improves our posture. Think about when your shoulders are sore and your neck is sore. You've been sitting at a computer for a while and you kind of feel hunched over. You're not sitting up straight, actually affects your breathing as well. When you start stretching on a regular basis, and static stretch, 15 seconds to 60 seconds, all of a sudden you stand straighter. When you stand straighter, you breathe straighter, you breathe better. Reduces stress. And it also, because of the correct breathing, actually helps with mental well-being. So stretching and mental well-being seems like a stretch, right? They actually
It is
do
definitely connected.
connect.
Yes. Thank you, Denise. Moving your body. So important to do on a regular basis, and incorporating these small things into your daily routine is really vital. So, Denise, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeanne Gallagher, Discover Rising Tides, and I want to just take a moment to talk about my friend, Denise Stegall. I am honored to call her as a friend, and I'm so grateful that she gives us her insight during our shows, each show, and talks about healthy living, eating real food. You hear Denise say, eat real food a lot. Well, she means it, and she knows what she's talking about. She is an amazing healthy living coach, curator at Living Healthy List. And if you ever have any questions about what is real food, why does it matter, how does that apply to me, how do I change, what do I need to do, how do I even create a healthy living shopping list, make sure that you call her. She is your healthy living coach, and you can find her at healthylivinglist.com. Hello and welcome to Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. My name is Jeanne Gallagher, your host, and I am very excited to introduce our guest for today, Amanda Lockhart-Davis. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Very grateful for your time today. And before we get started, give us a little bit of a insight to your background and what you do, and then we're going to really dive in.
Sure. I'll try not to make it a Stephen King novel.
Oh, we'll go. We got plenty of time. Plenty of
As
time.
Jeanne said, I'm Amanda Lockhart-Davis. I am the owner of JAX Consulting Services based in Manassas Park, Virginia. I have been in the corporate world for well over 12 years.
That's a lot.
And I left the
Because you
corporate
started when
world.
you were 12.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
Yeah. See, I can work with this.
I left the corporate world in December of 2023 and became a full-time entrepreneur at that point. I had started my business in 2023, August.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business consulting firm that helps basically small and medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs with back office operations. It's been a passion of mine by accident because I love accounting. I know that sounds crazy, and if there's any
You use
therapists
love
out
and
there
accounting in the same
listening,
sentence?
yeah, listen, I know. It's crazy. I fell into it by accident and I just fell in love with it. And then, all the things that come with it. I've worked for really small companies where I've had one or two employees under me, and I've worked for really large companies where I've had 140 employees up running up to me. In all different countries, Australia, Canada, Asia, India, so on and so forth. So I've seen a little bit of it all. I've been in all different types of industries, and there are some likenesses and there are some differences. In addition to that, after a health scare at the beginning of last year, I decided that I am going to live without regrets. So because of that, a dream that I've had for many years, probably going on 10 years, but was afraid to jump out and take the leap and do it. I started my own podcast, Life Uncensored. And so I'm running JAX Consulting as the owner, right? And I get to work and meet a lot of fun people. And I host a podcast, Life Uncensored, where I get to meet a whole lot of fun and interesting people. So there's Amanda in a nutshell.
Fantastic. And I'm going to definitely dive into your business, but if we can take a step back a little bit, because I think that life in the corporate world, there's so many people that are listening that are either in the corporate world or I've had experience there. I did as well. And you're working for you feel like you're working for yourself, but truly you're working for somebody else, obviously. But you're there to do a good job or a great job. You're there to do your best. And there are times where doing your best and taking care of yourself aren't always congruent, even though
Correct.
you think they are.
Correct. Very correct. They are not running parallel at all. And I have always been the person, I can spot a snake in the grass 20 miles out and can warn everybody about it, right? but not when it's me. So
Mm.
I'm the type of person where I'm like, whether it was my employees, a colleague, a friend, whoever, family, don't let these jobs kill you. You know,
Mhm.
don't let these jobs stress you out, because guess what? If you drop dead in that seat, they'll move your cold, lifeless body over and put the next warm body in it until the paramedic comes. So, take care of you, because you can't be your best you at work if you're not your best you for yourself. I
Mm.
preach that all the time. And then I
And
found
it's
myself,
only a job.
and it's only a job, right?
Yeah.
They come a dime a dozen. And then I found myself in an emergency room.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't even realize that the job I was on was stressing me as much
Mhm.
as it was. The very short
Mhm.
version of the story is I was feeling weird. Uh,
Mhm.
was called my sister, was telling her about it. She has a medical background. She was like, "You should probably go to urgent care, just get checked out, just to be safe." Went to urgent care. They did all the stuff they do. They
Mhm.
even took an EKG. And the doctor comes in and he's talking in this very low, calm voice, like he's
Mhm.
in a spa retreat somewhere. And he's like,
Because you're about to go to a spa retreat somewhere.
Yeah, right, right. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm concerned about your EKG. And so we need to get you to an emergency room." Because again, I was at
Mm.
urgent care.
Urgent care.
And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, well, I guess I got to call my husband because it's down the street." So I just went there. And he was like, "No, you need to be transported by ambulance. We've already called them." And as he's saying that, like in a movie, I could hear the
Mhm.
sirens growing closer.
Mhm.
And I was devastated. Like I burst into tears. And, you guys don't know me, but I am not a crier at all. And so, being in that emergency room, I had to be under cardiologist care for 13 months. I had to go the first few months, I had to go every 2 weeks. And then after
Mhm.
that, every month. And that was my wake up call
Mhm.
to me. I keep preaching it to everybody else because I'm so worried about everybody else and want everybody else to be well and take care of themselves. And I wasn't practicing what I was preaching.
Mhm.
And one motto that I've always gone by is nobody's going to take me out of here before I see my grandkids, right? I'm a mom of 3 boys, right?
Mhm.
26, 22, and 9. And nobody's going to take me out of here before I see my grandkids. But I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. That was a wake up call for me that number one, no job is going to come before my health, mental, physical, or otherwise. And if it smells toxic, it sounds toxic. If it quacks like a duck, right? Walks like a
Yeah.
duck,
Right.
that old adage, then thank you. I appreciate it, but no thanks. And please understand the job that I was on was paying me an egregious amount of money. I mean,
Mhm.
like they should be embarrassed. um, and perks galore. But was it worth being under a
Mhm.
cardiologist care for 13 months and never had high blood pressure, never had any heart problems, never had any real health issues? Was it worth it? Absolutely not, at least not to me. So again, I had already started, my business JAX in
Mhm.
August of 23. And by the end of the year, I was like, appreciate it.
Mm.
No
And
thanks.
I think this is I just want to take a pause for a second because your message is so important. And for people that are in any kind of a position and you think you're taking care of yourself, but you're really spending more time taking care of the others around you in that
Yeah,
work environment, it's really important to take a look back and or take a look inside and really find out if you are treating yourself as you are treating other people.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, another piece of that, and I'm speaking personally for myself, but I would not be surprised if there's many
Mhm.
others with the same mentality. Um, I grew up watching hard workers. My mom, my
Mhm.
dad, right? My
Mhm.
family, my grandparents, very hard workers. And I didn't want to feel like, man, I'm in this new great role and things are going great. It's this great responsibility, these great opportunities before me. I don't want to fail.
Mm.
I want to prove that I can do it. I want to prove I'm tough enough. I want to break the barrier that was
Mhm.
once there. Well, guess what I found
And
out?
especially being a woman.
Especially being a woman, and very
Mhm.
frankly, especially being a Black woman. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
for where I was, that makes the difference too. Um,
Mhm.
but the the reality of it is you can't change what doesn't want to be changed.
Mm.
And what I came to find out well into my employment at this place was that I was the fourth person in that position. The other
Oh,
three ran for the hills for the same reasons.
wow.
Yeah. There was one in particular, I was told that he had been there, I want to say they said 5 months, somewhere between 4 and 6 months.
Mhm.
And he came in one day as usual and he said his hellos to everyone as usual, did his normal morning routine. And then around like the 10 o'clock hour, somebody went to look for him to ask him a question, wasn't there. Hey, have you seen so and so? Yeah, I saw him today. His coat is there, his briefcase is there, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. He left. He left and left his stuff there. So he literally ran for the hills. He left and even left his personal
Wow.
belongings there because he could not take it anymore.
Mhm.
So it's not, quite frankly, it doesn't matter. Man, woman, black, white, yellow, green.
Mhm.
Stress is a killer.
Mhm.
It is a
Mhm.
killer. And based on our own beliefs, how we were raised, what we're trying to prove, or what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, goals we're trying to reach, those should not deter you from saying, this is not good for my well-being. I need to walk away.
Mhm.
Right?
That's a very brave action.
It's a
Very
scary
brave.
action.
Oh, without a doubt.
It's scary because you don't know what's coming next or what to do
Mhm.
next, or my favorite thing to say, whether or not you're jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. Oh, I left
Mhm.
this place looks better, but you know what? That place did too.
Yeah.
It you just never know what you're getting into. And I mean, I guess that's just a part of life. You just never know what the future's going to hold. But you can be certain that if you are working under an exuberant amount of stress, you can
Mhm.
pretty much guarantee what the future's going to hold
Mhm.
if you don't do something about it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And you
I'm
were
happy now.
fortunate. Yeah, I would say that you are fortunate enough that I don't know if this is fortunate. Well, it's unfortunate that you had a medical event.
Hmm.
Agreed there, but it's fortunate enough that that medical event was not serious enough to completely stop you, but it was
Yeah.
strong enough to hit you in the face and go, "Okay, Amanda,
Yes.
let's relook at this thing, no matter how big the paycheck is, no matter how important it is to have an important position, or worrying about if you leave, what will all of the people that report to you do without you?" those
Right.
are those are signals that, like, everybody's replaceable in somebody else's job.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And
Hmm.
I'm going to
Hmm.
tell you, in 2008, 2009, I want to say 2009, I was working for a
Hmm.
company. Loved it. It was a great company. Nothing wrong with the company. My birthday is December the 19th. And this particular year, it was record low temperatures. My boss had come in, as she always does. And, at the end of the day, she was saying her goodbyes to everyone. She was going to be on vacation that following week.
Hmm.
Christmas week is coming up. So she was saying her goodbyes to everybody, whatnot. Okay, no big deal. But we knew that she was staying late. She liked to make sure she tied up all of her loose ends. Right? Sounds normal for
Hmm.
when you're on vacation for a long time. We come back to, that was on a Friday. We come back to work on Monday morning to the news that she passed away in the
Mm.
parking lot. She had a stroke
Oh, wow.
in the parking lot of the job.
Wow.
Now, it can be argued whether or not it was stress related, work related, home related, what have you. But
Hmm.
the bottom line is she stayed late, and what she was doing, she stayed late. She was leaving gifts for everyone so that they would be surprised on Monday when they got to work.
Hmm.
Um, she had a daughter, a husband. They were looking for her, police, because she didn't come home,
Mm.
and they found her. And that's something that has stuck with me all that time, right?
Mhm.
Again, we don't know what it was related to. It could have been stress, could have been the job, could have been her own health. I don't know. But the point I'm making is you don't know.
You don't know.
Well, take care of
Right.
yourself. Take
Mhm.
care of yourself because and advocate for yourself. And if you're
Mm.
on a job that when you say, yeah, I need to take off for a doctor's appointment or it's time for vacation, I haven't had vacation in 8 months or whatever, and they hem and haw or they try to give you excuses right while why that's not okay or you're not a team player, that's not the job for you.
Mhm.
You know, I wish I had someone, I wish I had me talking to me, you know, while I was going through that ordeal. But to your point, it was serious enough to make the light bulb go off and to smack me in
Mhm.
the forehead hard enough for me to realize never again. But not serious enough that it did permanent damage, you know.
Damage. Mhm.
Yeah,
And some would say going from a corporate position to a business owner position is not for the faint of heart. That does bring on a little bit of unknown stress. I don't know if this is going to work, but it also you also have to have such great insight to yourself, but excitement for what you're doing. You can't take the jump off of that pier without a ton of excitement and enthusiasm and forward looking.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's like a roller coaster, right? There's that
Oh
part of
yeah.
the roller coaster where it's just coasting along a little bit and then it's going up and it's a little
Uh-huh.
scary because you don't know what that drop's going to be. And
Yes,
then
right. Or when it's gonna come.
or when it's gonna come or when that fast turn or but I'm gonna tell you from my personal experience, it has been the most liberating, freeing thing I have
Mhm.
ever done. My time is my own.
Mhm.
If I'm consulting with a client and I don't feel like the chemistry is going to work, I can say the chemistry's not going to work, but I
Mhm.
appreciate you. Thank you. I don't have to
Mm.
I can build into my contract that if you cannot conduct yourself professionally, I don't like the way you're talking or how you're treating, the people who work with me, we can
Mhm.
sever ties. And I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to run it through anybody. It is all me. The other
Mhm.
part of it is when I say my time is my own, um, as I mentioned earlier, I have adult children, 26 and 22. Um, because when they were young, I was building my career.
Mhm.
Our time was weekends, holidays, summer. Other than
Right.
that, it was work, 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 school, 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 right?
Mhm.
Now, with my 9-year-old, I can what I'll call correct that course.
Mhm.
And I've joined the PTO, when he's out of school for, I think Indigenous Day is coming up, for example. I'm
Mhm.
with him. I'm not paying someone else, extended care and
Ex-
all of that. And we can go do stuff. He loves the library. We can go to the library and hang out. We can
Mhm.
have a, mommy son date and go get to a movie. My time is literally my own. You
You
know,
are in control.
I'm
Yeah.
in control of that. Which means I'm in control of how much stress I want to
Mhm.
take on or don't want to take.
Mhm. And
But like
that's
it's
also a
scary.
slippery slope, though. Yeah, it's a slippery slope because I find myself in that I'm self-employed as well. I've been an advisor for 18 or 19 years, and I have to be careful with the controlling my calendar because somebody puts a lot of things on my calendar. It's me, but whoever's loaded my calendar sometimes is not paying attention to me. So I
Yeah,
have to I have to set boundaries. I've had to learn how to set boundaries for myself so that because you do have a choice to work and you have a choice to take the time with your family, but you also have to the only person that's going to allow balance is you,
yeah,
but you have the ability to allow balance. So it is
absolutely.
really it is you are in control. So there's that piece of then you need to treat yourself as an employee of your business. Like you want to take care of yourself, and then you treat yourself as the business owner and find that balance between the two while you're still taking care of and showing up for your clients.
Right. And it's important to know when to walk away. So
Uh-huh.
I treat my business the way I treated my corporate life. I still get up at the
Mhm.
same time, do my normal routines. I log on at the same time. I go through my day the same way. I take my lunch hour the same time. I do it. I treat it like I did when I was in the corporate world. Um,
Mhm.
for me, keeping that routine is what keeps me steady. Um, and if there is something like, I don't know, my kids got a school play. Okay, well, that'll be my lunch hour block,
Mhm.
or what have you.
Mhm.
I am able to I love to walk, Jeannie. I love to walk.
Mhm.
Denise was talking earlier about stretching and
Mhm.
stuff. I love to walk. So I walk absolutely no less than 3 miles a day, but I get up to about 6, 7.
Mhm.
And guess what? If my calendar looks great in the morning, I do it in the morning. Nobody's
Mhm.
interrupted by that, not dinner time, none of that stuff,
Mhm.
right? Um, but it's like you said, you have to hold yourself accountable for making sure that you don't put too much stress on yourself. And are there
Mhm.
those days where
No,
you just
there
gotta
will
get
always be
those
those
days?
days.
Yeah,
There will
it
always be
happens.
those days. Yeah.
Absolutely. But as long as you're making sure to balance, well, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are just really jam-packed days. But you're making sure that Friday and maybe even the next Monday or, the next couple of
Mhm.
days or whatever are light to bring that balance. That's okay. You have to
Mhm.
do what works for you, obviously, but
Mhm.
you also have to be able to read your own cues. I spent decades reading other people's cues, my
Mhm.
employees, that is. They're getting a little burnt out. I'm going to need some extra help. Or we need to change up what they're doing so they don't get bored with this. I could spot somebody else's cues a mile away, but I wasn't
Mhm.
picking up on my own cues. So that's
Mhm.
important too, picking up on your own cues. Sometimes you
I
just
think that,
get up
yeah.
and walk away.
It's a valid point, and part of the ups and the downs of owning your own business, I call it the rebound rate. There are times, and the longer you're in business, your rebound rate is faster and faster. But in the beginning, I remember for me, have those really great days, a really good hour. It depends. Sometimes it changes that 10 minutes a minute, right? But things are going really well, and then something will happen, and then you're back in the basement again, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yep,
I can't do this. I won't be able to do this. And then how
yep,
quickly can you pull the bootstraps back up and fix your brain a little bit, and just let that all go, and get back on the horse, or whatever the metaphor is, and just let those things pass. It is now in the
absolutely.
past. What did you learn from it? And how can you make going forward better? So those
Right.
are those are the regular everyday challenges of being in business for yourself, but the privilege of being in business for yourself. There was there's gonna be, yeah, if you're a fact checker, you can look this up and let me know in the notes. But so it used to be, the old saying was that 95% of the population, 100 years ago, 95% of us were self-employed and 5% of us worked for others. And then now it's just the opposite. 95% of us are employees, 5% work for us. I know those percentages are wrong. So those fact checkers, make sure you put the right ones in there. But the concept is important, because
Mm-hmm.
we as a society are teaching our young people to go to school, get a good job, but we're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily teaching our young people to what really interests you and start your own business.
Yes, yes. And thank you for saying that, because to be very honest with you, what gave me the push, I'll say, to start the
Hmm.
business even before the health scare happened was my son, my middle son, a 22-year-old. In 29, I'm sorry, no, in 2021, he started his own business. He started a clothing line, and he
Hmm.
makes his own clothes, designs them, and all of that. And, I'm the mom who shows up to every single solitary event, shoe tying contests, you know, spit shining contest, whatever it is. I'm showing a clarinet recital. I don't care what it is. I'm there, and I've got on all the gear, right? And going to pop up
Pom
shop,
poms are in your back pocket.
pom poms, whistles, or you name it, all
Yeah.
of that. Okay, I've got signs. I've got great signs. And I would go with him to his pop-up shops where vendors go. For those who don't know what pop-up shop is, it's basically, as opposed to having a storefront, someone hosts a huge event. It might be in an auditorium, it might be in like a ballroom of a hotel. for example, and multiple vendors, small vendors, more
Mhm.
more than likely, set up their shop there, the things that they sell. And so I would go to these shops with him, and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's so many people who don't know that there's such thing as back office for their business. They don't know they need to
Mm.
file 1099s. They don't know there's such thing as inventory management, so unclaimed property, so on and so forth. And I would just, because I'm there and be there for hours at a time, I could go and just talk to people just because I want to know what they're doing and I'm interested in what they're doing and how they got there and their story. And that's how I was learning that a lot of them didn't even realize that there's this back office piece to their business. And it was that thing, going to those pop-up shops and seeing
Mhm.
these people, that made me realize you have something to offer to your community,
Mm.
small businesses, these entrepreneurs, medium businesses. And so that's really what jump started me in doing this. And my son, he works a full-time job, but when he comes home, he's full-time into his business. Right. We
Mhm.
talk shop. It's really great. We love it. He asked me like, he'll come home today and he'll ask me, what'd you do today? How was the podcast? How did it all go? Like, and we talk about it. Oh, that's great news. And it's great. But to your point, right? Let's talk about his friends. How many of his
Mhm.
friends have done this, have started their
Mhm.
own business? Compared to yesteryear, that would have been a normal thing. Today, it's more taboo because, like you said,
Mhm.
we're taught to go to school, go to college, get a good job, stay there until you die, or whatever, um, but not build your own. So you make such a good point. And yeah, I'm interested to see if these fact checkers come in here and tell us what those numbers
The
are.
right percentages, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so tell us, so now let's dive into your business. So tell us exactly, what do you do? How do you support companies? And then we're going to get into your personal self-care part in the outdoors.
Sure, sure. So JAX Consulting Services, like I said before, um, is basically a back office consulting firm. So we
Mhm.
handle back office stuff for you. And our tagline is so you can get back to business, right? So you can be the
Mhm.
face of your business. So we handle accounts payable and accounts receivable management, processing of
Mhm.
1099s, review of unclaimed property. For those who aren't aware, unclaimed property is basically you've mailed a check to a vendor or you sent a payment to a vendor of yours and it hasn't cleared the bank yet. That is considered unclaimed
Mm.
property after a certain amount of time. So reviewing unclaimed property, strategic planning, budget creation, which is really big for our small businesses and our
Mhm.
startups and our entrepreneurs. And we do speaking engagements as well, notarizations, all those back office things that need to get done, but you don't have the hands to do it. You're only one
Mhm.
person, you're only two people, with the shop. So that's the basic premise of my business. We've also um, dove headfirst into financial literacy.
Mhm.
So I wrote two workbooks that are published on Amazon: The Basics of Financial Literacy, A Healthy Money Mindset, and The Basics
Mhm.
of Financial Literacy, A Healthy Money Mindset for Teens and Young Adults. And
Mm.
what I
So
hope to do,
important.
yes, yes, because we're not taught that in school.
Mm-mm.
Um, my hope is to reach not just business owners or people in
Mhm.
business, but also the community. I
Mhm.
would love, if I could snap my finger and get my wish, I would love to get into some middle schools, some high schools locally, and just talk about
Wow.
basic financial literacy, budgeting, saving. Some people don't know the difference between a savings account and a checking account. And I realized for myself that I'm walking around like, oh, everybody knows this stuff. No, they don't. And that's because I've been doing it for many years.
You're since you were 12.
Since I was 12. That's why I know it, but it's not common knowledge. So I would really love to get into the community more and be able to share that knowledge as well. So
Mhm.
that's a big part of what we're doing. Yeah.
I think it's so important. It is so important that to have that information available, but understanding the resources, and especially for small businesses. So let's define small business for a second. What is a small business?
Yes. So a small business is an entrepreneurship, a startup that has anywhere from one up to about 75 employees. After that point, it grows to medium-sized businesses
Mhm.
from 75 on to about 200, 250 employees. And the demographics also make a difference in those numbers because a
Mhm.
small business in New York City, for example, might not be considered a small business in rural Kansas somewhere, for example. Right. But yeah, so that's the difference between a small and medium business. It's really the size, and then also you bring in the revenue as well, what the revenue is for those
Mhm.
businesses makes a
And
difference.
that's interesting because most people wouldn't consider a business with 60 employees in the small business category.
Hmm. That's where revenue comes in mainly,
Mhm.
because there might be 60 employees, but are they W-2 employees or are they contracted
Mm.
employees? So there's
Mhm.
there's there's several variables, but if you're
Mhm.
talking on count alone, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely anywhere from one to about 75-ish
And
employees.
yeah, and these small businesses, it's very challenging for them financially and logistically to hire that back office person or persons to
Yeah,
do that work. And so having the availability for somebody like you through JAX Consulting to come in and to do that back office work and not have to house them, meaning not having to have the office space. And so this the logistic part is if they're going to
yes,
hire that staff, do they need them full time? Yet maybe yes or no. But also if they need them even part time, where are they going to put them? What are they going to do with them? And having and then how are they going to train them? And then how are
absolutely.
they going to supply the continuing education that they are going to need in order to stay on top of each area, because the things that you're dealing with, there's a ton of moving parts too, correct?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You have to keep up with them. I have certifications, and I'm a certified payables manager through
Hmm.
ILFM. And, I have to do continuing education credits to maintain all the updated
Hmm.
information. Like, for example, there's new laws for 1099s this year.
Mm.
So just things like that you have to keep up to date on. And to your point, a small business that's trying to bring in
Hmm.
clientele, customers, what have you, they don't have time to keep up with that and market and be the face of, and so that's where we come
Yeah.
in to help.
And yeah, so for the small business, it is very much a cost effective piece to their bottom line to not have to staff that section and utilize a service like you in order to provide that service that they need. And then you're able to say, well, you have this, but based on what I'm seeing so far, you're missing a link here and you need to expand into this area on the back
Precisely.
office size, right?
Precisely, yes, absolutely. And that's something that I've had to do several times, where I'm talking and sometimes it's just during a conversation, you're letting the business owner talk and you realize
Hmm.
you're taking notes and you realize, okay, so yes, she's right. She does need a payables person, for example.
Hmm.
She doesn't realize that she needs somebody who can handle her digital marketing. Now, that's not something that
Mm.
I myself handle in JAX, but I do have colleagues that I work with that I can refer, right? So that's the
Hmm.
other piece of it. I've worked across multiple industries and I've been in the business long enough that I have colleagues. I know a lot of people, so I can say, sounds like you need this. You might want to talk to, you know, and that becomes helpful. The other good thing about not having to house an employee in that situation is it's kind of like a on-demand situation,
Hmm.
right? If you can contract JAX Consulting for 6 months, for example, you can
Hmm.
contract JAX Consulting for 3 years, right?
Mm.
Whatever you feel is necessary and what's going to work for you, right? If it's going to take
Customizable.
something off your plate, then we can be flexible. And then we also contour our pricing based on your specific needs. So it's
Mm.
not a one size fits all for us,
Hmm.
right? Because I can work with a daycare, a in-home daycare. It's
Hmm.
going to be far different than working from a facility daycare, right?
Oh,
Far
yes. Hmm.
different. So
Hmm.
things like that, we try to make sure that we contour and tailor our services and our prices to the individual client.
Mm. So you already talked about how you can manage your calendar and take care of and show up for your son's shoe tying competitions. I love that, by the way. I had to toss that in somewhere. Because for me, I usually say underwater basket weaving, but I love the shoe tying competition. And you can show up for your kids and show up for your sons pop-ups and things of that sort. And in order to show up for your clients and show up for your kids and your family, what do you do to take care of yourself? And especially, and what did you learn through your medical situation, and what's changed for you, and how do you that's a lot of questions in one. And how have you what were you maybe not doing before, but or what are you doing now that really makes a difference for Amanda?
I'll start with that last piece of the question first. What I
Okay,
am doing now
good.
that I
Just don't
wasn't
ask me what
doing
the other ones were, because I was
first.
just rattling on.
Sorry, I got you covered. I got you covered.
Okay, good.
What I'm doing now that I wasn't doing before is something I didn't realize was happening.
Oh,
And that is, I literally, very literally, leave it at the door.
mm,
That's it. Once I cross the threshold from work to home, that's it.
mm-hmm.
Period. If something pops on my mind, we've all had did I remember to send Jeannie that email? Right? I go write it down real quick,
Mm-hmm.
put it sticky. It'll happen tomorrow. I'll send the email tomorrow. I'll check it tomorrow. I'm not doing it right now just because it popped in my mind. I don't want to forget. I write it down. And if, let's say, I'm in a car and I can't write it down, or I'm somewhere I can't write it down, I'll put it into the notepad on my phone. But I'm not going to do it.
That's good.
Full stop. And vice versa. When I'm at work, home stays at home and work stays at work. And full stop. That's it. And so not intermingling the two has made a difference for me. Right.
I think that's really important. I don't want to rush you through that thought process, because I find the same thing too. If I have an office, and even when I'm out in the woods in Maine here, I do have an office, and I try, and I don't work in my public areas of the house, I guess you could say, because when I'm not at my desk, I'm not at work.
Yep.
And I don't check my work email. I don't check my work email because it's not my work time. And when you work from home, and so for anybody that's self-employed or working for somebody else, if you're working from home, those areas really start to flow into each other. And I think it's really, what you've said is so important. That's why I wanted to stop here for a second, is that you make the delineation between, this is my work time and this is my non-work time. If your brain hasn't shifted and you write it down, it gets it out of your brain.
Exactly.
So you don't have to think about it anymore.
Exactly.
Or when you get a little bit older, you won't forget it.
Well, that part. and listen, when I'm off work, the door is closed. So even as I'm walking past the room, doesn't matter to me. Work is closed today. Like, work is closed for now. So whether it's because it's the weekend or because it's now 5:15, off limits. That's it. Unless, like I said, I think of something that I may have forgotten, or I have a great idea, I write it down, put the sticky on the desk, doors back closed. That's it. And that works. Some of the things that I do to unwind, first things first, I have girls' night with my friends every month. We take turns planning, whose turn it is to plan what activity we're going to do. It's generally an activity, and we go out to something to eat. We've done axe throwing, we've done aerial yoga, we've done pottery, we've gone to concerts, whatever that thing is.
Extraordinary yoga, that kind of covers everything in between.
Yes. And let me tell you something.
There couldn't be two things that are further apart from themselves. So yeah, you have covered it all.
I'm gonna tell you something. Axe throwing and the rage rooms where you get to break stuff, that's a great stress relief. So just a tip for your listeners, okay? So our monthly girls' night, me and my family, we have weekendly, bi-weekendly game night. So my house, I come from a really, really, really big family, and I'm known as the game house. I've got a room that is nothing but all types of games, board games, all types of games. And so we have game night, and we put on, whatever we're gonna put on the TV, maybe a movie or whatnot. We make popcorn, we've got snacks, and we just laugh and joke, and we just enjoy each other.
Mhm.
So those are the two main things that I do to just unwind, right? That time away where it's just girls' night, where I'm not even thinking about my kids or my husband, just me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and then I myself, every Saturday, everyone in my life knows, do not call me, do not text me before noon on Saturday. That is my time to not have to deal with anybody's anything at all. Even if it's good news, this is my time to just be me. And I go and I get my nails done, I get a pedicure. It's just Amanda time. That's it.
Mhm.
Um, it's to the point where like my brother, he'd be like, it's 11:57. I can't call her. This is ridiculous. I just had something to tell you. But everybody understands it too. Because my whole life is making decisions for other people. When you are,
Mhm.
the boss of many people, then you come home and you got kids, and let's face it, our husbands need some telling what to do too sometimes, right? Your whole life is telling somebody what to do. You need that time to just not have to do that.
Mhm.
So those are a few, and then I just like being outside. I have a yard. We've got a deck. I've got a hammock out there. I've got what I call my sister porch in the front, where I've got chairs and a table out on the front porch. And I don't care if it's raining or if it's sunshiny blue. I just like to be outside and just be out
Mhm.
there. And very honestly, I think I was a mermaid in my previous life because I can't get enough of water. So whenever we vacation, it has to be near the water in the Caribbean, at the beach, I just love being by the water. So those are a few of the things I like to do. Those are a few things I like.
That's wonderful. And it does make a difference when you have the ability to take time for yourself
Yes.
and you are cognizant of that as
Mm-hmm.
well, but you make boundaries,
Yes.
and that's
Boundaries
okay.
are important. I think that is something in our lives, especially in this fast-paced world that we live in today, I think that's taken for granted. It's
That's
okay to
probably one
set a
of my
boundary.
areas that it's hardest for me to do, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Is it with your clients, family, or all of the above? Like,
Probably both, but not more family than anything else. You always have that, not you, well, I should talk correctly here, have that the other people come first kind of mentality, and you have to check yourself.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And sometimes it's okay that they don't.
hmm
Like you can
sure,
come first sometimes. It's okay.
it's okay.
But that's something we have to train ourselves to do because I think we're like that innately. I think we just are that way.
Hmm.
But then people get used to it. I don't like to think that in general people purposely take advantage, but sometimes
Oh
it
no.
happens
Hmm.
subconsciously because mom's always there. So mom will take care of it. Mom's
Hmm.
always, you know what I mean? And not necessarily on purpose, just that's the habit that you allow to form,
Hmm.
but yeah, boundaries are big. And I think we need to, as a society, practice that a little bit more for many reasons.
Hmm. Hmm. You are a fantastic example of bravery. And I said use this word earlier today when a group of us were talking stick-to-itiveness. I love the
Yes,
word,
I
but
love
it
it.
is, yeah, and in the ability to think outside the box and how to reinvent yourself and but still have a common theme of helping others and making a difference, but also making a difference for yourself as well. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciate you sharing your story and with everyone and for those that are listening. And before I get your contact information, you want to put a little plug in for your son's business?
Yes, it is the
Yes.
Misfit LLC. The Misfit LLC. You can find him on Instagram, and he also has a website that's themisfitllc.net. His name is
Fantastic.
Alex Davis. He's my second born, and I just love him to death.
And he is the A in the JAX.
That's correct. He is the A in the JAX. That is right.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Amanda, where can people find you?
Yes. So I can be found on my website. That's www.jax-consulting.com. You can reach out to me. I do free consultations, so you can definitely sign up there. I'm also found on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
And your podcast?
My podcast is Life Uncensored, Navigating Adulthood one episode at a time. My podcast is also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You'll know it's me because it's a beautiful blue phoenix as the logo, Life Uncensored. And website there too. You can drop me a line there if you have a suggestion for an episode or you'd like to be an episode guest. That's www.life-uncensored.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for sharing and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Jeanne. I appreciate all of this.
Thank you so much for listening today. Today's show is sponsored by Seaside Solutions, my financial services company. As a business owner, it's easy to be pulled in many different directions, and often taking care of yourself plummets to the bottom of the list. For me, I find myself outside to reground. My time outdoors helps me manage my day more effectively and be more present for my clients. Through this, Discover Rising Tides was born. At Seaside Solutions, we truly believe that education is the foundation of financial wellness. Our primary focus is to provide guidance that is designed to help you achieve your long-term financial goals and visions. Working with a plan allows space for doing more things that you love, like being outside to make the inside better. If I can help you create or realign your plan, or if you would like to be added to my weekly newsletter, please let me know. This week's topic was 5 ways to set more achievable goals. Your referral means the big, beautiful world to me, and if I can help, please let me know. And thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.
Do you want to play online slots, live dealer baccarat, blackjack, roulette? Sign up to claim your welcome bonus today at PUNT.com, the #1 free-to-play social casino. And Punt.com is free forever. No purchase necessary.
PUNT, Punt.com.
So check out PUNT.com, Punt.com, and start having fun by playing the social casino games you love. PUNT.com.
PUNT, Punt.com.
Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day presents Goodness from the Garden. Imagine your home blooming with floral scents. No dirt or grime in sight. That's the power of Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day. With uplifting scents and down-to-earth values, Mrs. Meyer's collection of household products is inspired by the garden. Each scent made with essential oils and other thoughtfully chosen ingredients that don't just smell delightful, they're tough on messes too. When it comes to cleaning, it's more fun if it smells like the garden. So visit mrsmeyers.com now.